What up, guys? It is episode
Oh, wow.
13, 14 of the pod. Like Ray said last week or 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
He said, I love that this is a question every single week.
I love guys who like football. And guys who like football, they like me back. And I like them back. And even guys that don't like football, I mean, they try to avoid me because I'm always trying to get them to like football more.
I can never remember until I edit it.
That was a long time ago we did double digits.
Yes, I think this is either 13 or 14.
But it has been a minute since we recorded.
Yep. Of Watch the Throne fantasy football show.
Watch the throne, baby.
I'm Al King.
Gabe Hernandez.
No Ray tonight. Ray's in Orlando, I think at Disney World with the kids.
I thought you said Indianapolis. I don't know why I had Indianapolis in my mind, but I heard Indianapolis.
What if I'm wrong and you're right?
That's funny. We should check. We'll check after.
We'll check.
Actually,
but I think
go
it's a Disney World trip, which is amazing. So hopefully he's having the time of his life in the happiest place on earth. And you and I are here in a office, probably the second happiest place on earth.
Ooh.
Would you say?
I would say I've been very happy since I've been here. I will say that. Oh, we started talking about picking.
I think he told me.
He is in Orlando.
Yes.
By the way, I'm in Orlando this week.
Very cool. Hopefully he's having a great time.
Orlando. You know what's funny? Quick.
Yeah. Have you been to Orlando?
I've been to Orlando twice.
Okay.
Never went to Disney World.
I mean, I guess that's okay. It's expensive, dude. Disney World's expensive.
Well, I went for a football tournament.
Okay.
So we went for the kids.
Yep.
As you know, I coached youth.
Yep.
We went for 2 football tournaments. So.
Yep. So business trip.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
No time for Disney World.
No time.
It is what it is.
I've been to Disney World one time. I loved it. I'm a Disney guy.
I'm gonna have to go
as you
one day.
know.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Disney's awesome.
Yeah, it's worth it. Definitely worth it.
Fun fact: if you didn't know, Deadpool and Wolverine on Disney Plus as of yesterday.
Oh, good call.
I watched it 4 times in theaters.
Good call.
So
it's a great movie.
I'll be on there again.
11/13 today, the date.
Mm-hmm.
So 11/12 it went on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great.
Yes. Is that supposed to mean something? Was that?
No,
supposed to?
I
Okay.
always forget to date it at the front end.
Ah, okay.
So then whenever I have an opportunity, I'm like, I'm just going to slide in the date there. With that said, we are going into week 11 of the NFL season, which generally means trade deadline for a lot of your fantasy football leagues.
Yep.
So it's a trade deadline special for the show today.
There's not much news, so we're
not
not
much
do
news and notes. We're going to have one little topic to discuss.
It's gonna be fun. I've been wanting to do this with Al for a while.
So we will see what unfolds during the news and notes, and then we each have a few players to acquire, a few players to trade away, and then I think we're going to kind of play scenarios of like, oh, I'll trade you this for that person you're trying to trade away. Do you take it? Do you not? Whatever.
Let's do it.
Cool. The one news and note. Anthony Richardson named Colts starting quarterback again, and they use the words rest of season.
He said that with Flacco, though. I am not counting this, but they should leave him. Let him develop. Play your young guy.
I'm so in the opposite boat of whether or not it's Anthony Richardson. I miss the days, and I think the days were better when your Aaron Rodgers sat for 2 seasons behind Brett Favre. When your Tom Brady was sitting behind Bledsoe and Bledsoe got hurt, so he got his opportunity. When these guys got a season or two to learn before getting put out there, because I think it hurts their confidence. And if you're an athlete and your confidence gets a little shaken and you allow it to get shaken, it takes a pretty big toll. And I think that's happened a lot with young quarterbacks recently.
You're right. I think 1 season is perfect. The problem is we do have quarterbacks that come in and they succeed right away. Obviously, C.J. Stroud's an example last year.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels is killing it this year.
Yep.
Bo Nix is starting to look good.
But how many have not?
Caleb's not looking great.
Yep. Bryce Young.
Bryce Young is not looking great, and they might move off him already.
Yep.
I'm blanking on the other quarterback. Oh, Drake May's been okay.
Yep.
I mean, he's getting better over the weeks. Each week you can kind of see slight improvement. And who was the 6th quarterback? I know Penix is not playing.
Right.
But there's another rookie quarterback this year that's starting, but I can't think of who it is.
Start for this year, rookie quarterback?
So you got Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. Who was drafted? Because there's 6 I believe there are 6 quarterbacks. I could be wrong.
But they're starting right now? I don't know if they're starting.
I want to say yes, but I could be. Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'll think of it.
But even going back like last year and the year before, right? Like Will Levis struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence
It's starting to struggle.
Right. And so these guys get put in right away, right? If you even go back to the 2020 draft class, Burrow, Hurts, Herbert, and Tua, those 4 made it. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the class for quarterbacks, I don't think any of them are starting anywhere anymore.
It's rough. There's guys that, and then there's also franchises that just get put into terrible situations. There's guys I think that can play. We're seeing a little bit with Sam Darnold. Yeah. He's not a complete bust. Yep. Is he a franchise starting quarterback? No. Is he a starting quarterback? Is he a top 32 quarterback? I would say yes off the top of my head.
But see, Zach Wilson's another guy, right?
Zach Wilson was a bust.
Speaking of like Sam Darnold to the Jets.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, he sucks.
But it was just you went to New York and it was a bad situation.
Yep. Same with Zach Wilson, right? Potentially. Great. That's what I guess what I'm saying is instead of starting them right away,
sit them a year.
Yeah, let them sit a year behind someone that has been in the league for a while, whoever it is, at your starting quarterback, and then
it honestly just depends who the quarterback is. Like I might have sat Caleb for a year because Caleb, while I think he has the potential to be uber talented, you can just from the outside world, not even knowing him personally, you can tell he has a little bit of a sensitive soft side. Sure. So if you put him in to the fire and it doesn't work right away, you put at risk of just his mental being gone.
Right.
That's what it all is, really, at the end of the game. It's mental.
It's huge.
All these guys can throw. Yep. They're all good. It's learning how to read an NFL defense.
The speed of the game.
Mm-hmm. It's totally different. And preseason helps. Even practice helps. Like, look at Jordan Love. Sat for 4 years.
Yeah.
Doing great now.
Right.
So I agree with you on sitting. I think sitting is the best way to go.
Yep.
It also just depends. Like, I think when you have an alpha, like a CJ Stroud, go for it. Jaden Daniels, I think, is an alpha.
Daniels is a stud. He's a stud.
Those guys have that personality, that alpha trait where you could just be like, you know what, you go ahead and play, go start. You'll be, even if you fail, you'll be okay. Mm-hmm. So,
but not all the guys have it.
No, absolutely.
And Stroud is in his sophomore slump. Yeah, if you want to say that,
he's not putting up great numbers,
right? But he's still a starting quarterback in the NFL for sure.
Right.
Going back to the news.
So go ahead.
Anthony Richardson, in my opinion, is not a starting quarterback in the NFL.
As of right now.
I'm not sure ever.
You're giving up on him?
I'm not sure ever.
So this is where we differ.
Yes, it is.
Because he's played 10 games in 2 years, and he's been hurt. Mm-hmm. That's another story. If you want to say he's injury prone, I'm not going to argue that one. I still think Anthony Richardson has potential to be a great quarterback. And it's just because of his skill set. He can run. He throws a great deep ball. He can be a Cam Newton 2.0.
Yeah.
To an extent, I'm not think of what Cam Newton's career was.
Yeah.
He never had.
He had 3 really good seasons.
His MVP year, he had a lot of passing touchdowns.
Yep.
Every other year, he was always 20 to 25 passing touchdowns, but he always had 10 to 15 rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
That's what Anthony Richardson needs to be. The part that drives me crazy with watching him is, and we talked about this off the podcast, I don't like the coaching. Shane Steichen's a great coach, and everyone says that, and he might be, but he's not using Anthony Richardson correct. He needs to get him out of the pocket more, needs to get him some more runs. They probably have 1 or 2 designed runs for him a game.
Yeah.
They need to utilize his skill set more. He throws a great deep ball. So you have chances where you can play action, and you have a great running game with Jonathan Taylor.
Yes.
Play action, throw the ball deep. Now, he has to work on his accuracy.
Yeah.
Has to work.
Yes.
There's throws I've seen him make that's an NFL throw, and I'm like, okay, he has the potential.
1 out of 11. You know what I mean?
But he can do it.
Sure.
Is it now? He just has to be more.
I
consistent.
used to throw dimes in 7-on-7 too. I could do it every now and then.
I throw practice with the little junior ball. Sometimes
dimes,
but I think he still has the potential. Now, he's never going to be a 70% completion percentage quarterback. He's always going to be in that 60 to 65 range. But if you utilize him,
he's at 48.
He's bad right now.
Yeah,
he's a guy that maybe they should have sat him last year. They had Gardner Minshew. You should have probably benched him last year. You should have let him sat. And he's only 20 years old. He still has so much potential.
Very young still, yeah.
So that's why I don't want to give up on him. I want to see They're going to play him on Sunday. I want to see if they do anything different. Get him out of the pocket more. Designed runs for him sometimes. Throw a couple more deep balls. They might have 1 or 2 deep balls a game. Throw 5. Just throw them out there because he can throw a great deep ball. He has an arm.
So, he does have an arm.
While I agree with you, you can't start him in fantasy. He's not a great quarterback right now. I do think he still has potential.
44.4% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
It needs work.
And 1 rushing touchdown, losing 2 fumbles as well.
That's what drives me crazy, the 1 rushing touchdown.
I don't think he wants it. I don't think he has the desire to. I think he already thinks he's really damn good. And the problem is, and don't get me wrong, Anthony Richardson, you're a freak athlete. Like you are where you are because of who you are, right? I'm not taking that away from you at all. But there's a bunch of freak athletes in the league that you're in now. And you have to differentiate yourself somehow amongst all the other freak athletes. And if you don't want it enough, you're not going to shine. It's the league of it's the best of the best.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he wants it enough. So that's why I think he's probably not long for the league.
And that's fair. I will give you that. And that's a possibility because, again, we don't know him personally. But we see things on the sideline. We can pick things up. The one thing that did bother me is one time it was like fourth quarter in a game, and he yawns.
Yeah.
I had the camera on him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. I think it was the Sunday night game.
Yep.
2 weeks ago. I can't remember who they were playing off the top of my head. But
man, his body language on the sidelines.
He just yawned. And they had the camera on him. Perfect moment. And I was just like, oh, God, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, the body language isn't great. And you know who? Cam used to do that.
Cam was a big body language guy.
On the sideline, it's like, dude, you can't, as the quarterback, you can't do that because you're supposed to be the leader, right? And not everyone's built out to be that type of leader.
Right.
But in that position, you got to kind of fake it at least. So I'm just worried about Richardson and that. If he's going to make it, you need to hear this offseason, he's out throwing with
so-and-so.
X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And he's, doing this with these people. Like, he needs to put in the work this offseason, I think, if he's really going to make it. If he doesn't, and he's out, doing whatever he's doing.
So let me give you a scenario real quick, and then we can move on. Okay. They have 7 games left. I'll just throw out some just random numbers. Let's say he has, let's go 1,200 passing yards. Let's go 6 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's got about 200 or 300 rushing yards with 2 to 3 touchdowns.
You said 1,200 passing yards?
Yeah, in 7 games.
Over 7 games, okay.
Yeah, not great, but not terrible.
Yeah.
Let's just say 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 200 to 300 rushing yards, and 2 to 3 rushing touchdowns. Where do you put him next year? And obviously it's November.
So we're a fantasy show,
right?
Coming into this season, I think he was drastically overrated as far as where to take him. Dude, not just you. A lot of people were like, how early do you take Anthony Richardson? Do you take him in the 4th round? Is he one of the first quarterbacks to go off the board? It's like, to me, the whole time I was like, hell no. What do you mean? Like,
and I remember
it's a small sample size that we saw from him. Sure, he's fun to watch.
And we did the projections. His ceiling I thought was very high.
Yep. I think, dude, a lot of people did. Yeah. So like I said, it's not just you, but I just don't know.
Just right off the top, obviously he's not going to be in cement.
I don't think he's a top 12 fantasy football quarterback next season. I don't think you draft him that way.
Okay.
Even if he finishes out with the numbers you said.
So you draft him a little later.
Yeah, he's not your starting. He's not your starting fantasy quarterback. You don't draft him to be, in my opinion.
Let me see if I can give you 2 names.
I would take Tua over him.
Wow.
Yep. I would take Dak. I would take Dak over him next year, coming off an injury.
Right. Well, Dak should be fine. Let's go. Okay, so Tua was a good one. Let's go Anthony Richardson.
I would take. I don't know. Is Kyler that far down at this point? I would take Kyler over him. No, Kyler's still up there.
Kyler's still solid.
Geno Smith, probably even.
Yeah, even.
Yeah, I don't know if I would take Geno.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. But see, you're not drafting Geno to be your starter either.
No.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of
a name. Take Baker over Richardson? You assuming everyone's back for the buzz.
Yeah, I would take Baker over
AR. Let's go
Herbert.
Herbert. Oh, that's a good one.
That's a tough one. I would still take Herbert, I think, But I would be like Herbert in round 11, Richardson in round 13.
If you got a star receiver, I'd take Herbert. But
you know what I mean? Like, just take him real quick back and back. If your strategy is to take AR as your backup next year.
And just see what his potential is.
Yeah, but I wouldn't take him as a top. Would you take him as a starting fantasy quarterback next year after this season?
Obviously we have a whole offseason.
There's a whole offseason, right? Yeah.
I want to put him in my top 10. I want to. I'm not going to put him as high as I did this year.
Yeah.
But I want to give him one more chance. I want to put him probably around that 8, 9, 10 range. I want to.
Yeah.
But we have to, and that's as of right now. If he has a good showing, and maybe he learned, maybe he understands now how he has to take the game.
Yeah.
If he learned and he shows a good outing in these last 7 games, he might be right there at starting quarterback.
I'm intrigued to see how it plays out.
Yes.
I don't have a lot of confidence.
And I'm gonna throw you under the bus right now.
Okay.
You're not a fan.
No, yes. I've been saying it. Yeah, I don't think he's a good quarterback.
There's guys I don't like. We're gonna.
Well, okay. It's tough to say I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Najee Harris.
Right.
I don't dislike Anthony Richardson the same way I dislike Najee Harris, if that makes sense.
Because you've had Najee on your team, and he's personally hurt you.
Yes, and I also just think that he's kind of a plotter at this point for some reason. and
he is a free agent.
And I'm like, I can't believe.
So maybe
I don't know.
He's conserving himself.
I mean, he's not playing himself in a new contract, I wouldn't say, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of Anthony Richardson. I just think that he's overhyped, and
you don't have anything personally towards him. But
correct. I just don't think he's a starting NFL.
You want to see better from him.
Yeah, I don't think he's a starting NFL quarterback.
I got you.
That's all. You can't say I'm not a fan, because I did enjoy watching him at Florida, and I do think it's cool to see him run and do what he does on the field still.
I hope he turns it around. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Okay, AR.
AR 15.
Do it.
Come on, man.
Do it for Gabe.
Do it for me. Please.
Do it for Gabe.
Please.
Be a top 10 quarterback.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not happening anymore.
No, next year.
Next year.
Trade talk.
It's about that time.
Yes. I've tried to make some trades at the deadline. I have a tentative one now. I don't know. I know you have
gentleman's handshake.
Yes, I know you have a couple leagues. One, you're 8-2.
So it was this one, right? It was this one that
yes,
I think so. Yeah. So we're burying the Yahoo. Can I say the league name on here? Is that okay?
Sure.
10 guys, 1 cup.
Yep.
We're gonna bury that team. That team's 1-9.
Yep.
That team was doomed from draft day.
CMC, right?
CMC.
Yep.
Lose Rashee Rice to the season. Trade Kelsey for Ayuk. Lost Ayuk the next week. And then lost Diggs.
Pain. Pain, dude.
It was funny because I don't think you've seen my lineup, and we play this week. And I said, don't look at my lineup. And you went and you put in the text message, holy you know what. And I just started laughing. I was like, oh, yeah, he hasn't seen my team. My team is horrendous.
Yeah, So you're 1-9. Okay, let's just play this scenario out. You're 1-9. I'm 3-7 in a league, right? That we're in as well. Different league, not the Yahoo one.
Right.
Since it's a trade show, when you're bottom of the league like this, and the top of the league guys are coming at you, wanting XYZ because they want to improve their teams, you're quote unquote out of it.
Right.
Are you making slightly unfair trades that you maybe wouldn't have made 5 weeks ago?
Absolutely.
Or are you holding off?
So, and I told you earlier, John has been trying to get CMC from me.
Oh, you're name dropping.
I'm name dropping.
Oh, my.
I'm throwing it because,
oh, my.
The way he's been coming at me.
He listens to the show.
Good. Because the way he's been coming at me, I don't appreciate. Gabe, come on, man. Let's do this trade. Come on. Give me something better then. Because here's the thing. What his team, and I guess it would be a little different if I had actually like a more realistic chance. Because does his trade actually improve my team? Sadly, it does. Like he's offered me Jacoby Myers, Tucker Kraft, and Najee Harris for Christian McCaffrey. Jacoby would probably be my wide receiver 2 because I still have Marvin Harrison Jr. And I had Josh Downs, but we're probably going to downgrade Josh Downs now.
Why is that?
I hate you. So Jacoby Myers would probably be my wide receiver 2. Najee would probably be my RB1, just replacing CMC.
Yeah.
I have Tyrone Tracy as well. And then Tucker Kraft, I have Hunter Henry and Cole Kmet. So Tucker Kraft, he's a little better than those guys. So he's not crazy better, but he's a little better.
Yeah.
It would improve my team, but I'm also 1-9. I'm not going to just gift someone on the top CMC. Me and him have been trying to make deals for the last couple weeks, and I try to get better. And someone else in the league does this other gentleman that I mentioned earlier watch it. I'm name dropping. I'm just going to name drop. I don't care. Chris.
Oh.
Chris
name dropping all of us.
We tried to make a trade too.
Yeah.
And I would have done a trade a couple weeks ago, but now I'm out of it. Let's just be real. Like, I can't even make the way we do it. Top 4's record, and then 2 wild cards based on highest points.
Yep.
I'm 200 points behind with 4 games left. So I have to outscore everybody
by
that's
50.
on the bottom by 50.
Yeah, each week.
I'm going to set up a lineup.
So you're saying when you're out of it like this, you're not really trying to make trades because it kind of hurts the integrity of the league, if you will.
Yeah, when you're 1-9. When you're 1-9.
What about 3-7, right?
3-7, you're still 1 or 2 games out of it with 4 games left. You're absolutely trying to make your team better.
Yeah.
So you're still in it. You're absolutely, while it might not be, the odds might not be in your favor, you're still trying.
Sure.
So absolutely. So 3-7, I would still try to make a trade and try to better your team.
It's just tough because every year, whether you're at the bottom or you're at the top, trades come in at the trade deadline that are a little skewed. Mm-hmm. And if a team's at the bottom and makes a trade to someone at the top and it makes the team at the bottom arguably get worse,
it just looks fishy.
It looks real bad. So
collusion.
Yeah, if I'm a lower bottom level team and the guys up top come, just make sure it doesn't look fishy, or else your league mates are gonna get pissed. Everyone's gonna get upset, And
in CBS, I've had one trade that we had a veto one time years ago. It just looked fishy.
Yeah.
So he still to this day says it was a fair trade.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But that's his opinion.
We all have them.
We all have. And that's the thing about the trade. Like, there's different situations and different scenarios where to trade. You still love your team at 3-7.
I do.
So it's like, what do you do to make your team better? Do you package 2 guys? Do you do a straight even trade like you're about to do?
Mm-hmm.
What's the move you do? There's a bunch of different scenarios that you can do. We'll go over a couple because you don't believe in trading a certain position at this time.
Yep.
So we'll go over a couple different scenarios too.
Yep. I have players to acquire. We'll start wide receivers.
You want to go wide receivers first?
Yeah.
So I have, and we're doing wide receiver / tight end.
Yeah.
I have Jayden Reed and Tucker Kraft.
Okay.
Packers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna pull up the schedule real quick. Jayden Reed is actually probably like my perfect flex play.
Yeah, he's great.
That guy, you got him in like the 8th, 9th, 10th round, depending on how big your draft is.
Yep.
You are playing him like a wide receiver too at this point. He's been awesome.
Yep.
The crazy thing is he doesn't get like a crazy amount of targets.
I know. And
he doesn't even snaps.
Dude, Love spreads it around. They alternate the receivers a lot.
They rotate snaps too.
Yep.
Like
yep.
They have 4 capable wide receivers.
Yep.
And a couple years ago, we all thought Christian Watson was the best.
The guy, yeah. I mean, I thought Romeo, but
that's a personal. That's why.
Yeah.
But we all thought Christian Watson was the best
supposed to be
receiver.
he was supposed to be wide receiver 1.
And Jayden Reed has come out of nowhere and just been that wide receiver 1.
Yep, agreed.
Scrolling to him right now. Oh my God, he can't be this low. Where's Jayden Reed at?
He's gone forever.
No way.
Yep.
Here he is. Okay, I scrolled too far. I scrolled way too far. So his next 3 matchups are kind of tough.
Okay.
He's got Chicago, San Francisco, and Miami. So those are good. Jalen Ramsey, and we just saw Miami on Monday night. They have a good defense.
Yep.
San Francisco, of course, a good defense.
Yep.
And Chicago, they're actually 31st against receivers. Second hardest matchup.
Wow.
So, I don't know how you want to look at that. I know everyone does it differently, but I'll go. They're 31st allowed points against receivers. After that, they're at Detroit, so indoor.
Yep.
And against Detroit last time, he had 17.3 points.
Okay.
So that's a good, and that's the week before playoffs.
Yep.
In the playoffs at Seattle, which is not a great secondary.
Sure.
They have the 10th most points against some receivers.
Oh, what used to be the Legion of Boom.
Used to be.
What used to be, yep.
This is the knockoff version of Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
Because they still have some talent. It's just, This is not working. I don't know. New Orleans, who just traded Lattimore, who should be easy targets.
Yep.
And then at Minnesota. Which
inside the dome.
Have another
championship game.
Yep, dome game. Championship, third most points to receivers. And this is a one full point PPR league that I'm looking at the scoring.
Yep.
If you're not PPR league, then Jayden Reed's probably not a guy you're targeting. But PPR, I think Jayden Reed's a guy you want to target. And you can get him. You don't have to give up a superstar for him, I don't believe. You can give up a solid player. Like, honestly, as crazy as it might sound, I'd give up Mike Evans for Jayden Reed for that playoff run.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
If you're 7-3,
when is Evans due back?
He will be back after the bye week. Supposed to be.
Okay.
But just like Nico, he was supposed to be back last week.
They're on bye this week.
Yes, Tampa's
Tampa
on bye.
Bay, yeah.
So Mike Evans, he might miss another week.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. Hammies are fidgety.
Yep. Stephania Bell came out when Nico got hurt and said, on average, the wide receiver position has missed 5.5 weeks from hamstrings. So when she said that,
wow,
I was like, okay, Nico might not come back right away after he gets off IR.
Yeah.
And he didn't, right? It's been
games.
5 weeks now. So, yeah.
So I'm just looking at receivers here, like at the top. I think we're all on board now with Jayden Reed over CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Jayden Reed over Malik Neighbors.
Yep.
Jayden Reed over Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
Jayden Reed over Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one's an issue because George Pickens does have a good schedule.
Rest of the year.
George Pickens.
Yep.
I would take Jayden. For the playoff. I'm just talking playoff run because, like I said, Jayden Reed does have a tough 3 games the next 3 weeks.
Yep.
After that, if you're 7-3, 8-2, go get him.
Mm-hmm. Because he's going to be good 15, 16, 17.
And then I'll real quick Tucker Kraft. And tight ends is hard. Listen, there's 4 very good tight ends. After that, you're throwing darts at
Yeah, it's crazy. Frustrating year for the tight ends.
1,000%. Mm-hmm. But Tucker Kraft, he has middle of the road matchups against Seattle's 12th most allowed points to tight ends, New Orleans 16th, and then at Minnesota 20th. So it's middle of the road, but it's hard to tight ends. You're throwing darts.
Yep.
So he has decent matchups. They're not hard, but they're not the easiest either.
Yep.
They're middle. So I would start Tucker Kraft over a handful. I'd probably start Tucker Kraft in the playoffs over Mark Andrews.
So you're saying go get Tucker Kraft.
Tucker Kraft for the playoffs as well.
So let's say your tight end currently is someone like Kyle Pitts or Dallas Goedert or Pat Freiermuth. I'm trying to think of guys that are in the 8 to 12 range.
Kyle Pitts, while he's been better, he's still consistent. He's still going to have your games where he gets you 3 or 4. But and I know we were looking at his playoff schedule. Yeah. So he has the Raiders, which fourth most fantasy points allowed to tight ends.
Yep.
The Giants, who are actually surprisingly 3rd least fantasy points against for tight ends.
Interesting.
And Washington, who's 11th least amount of points. So on paper, the Giants and Washington are tough matchups, and that's because you can run on them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they have a good defense Giants' defense isn't bad, and Washington's been getting better.
Sure.
So while the opportunities might be there, they don't have like a lockdown safety or linebacker.
Yeah.
They haven't been giving up points to tight ends because receivers have been dominating against those 2 teams, and then they can also run the ball on them.
Well, so if you're 7-3 or 8-2, and you have those guys that I mentioned at tight end, do you go out and try to get Tucker Kraft with maybe one of your wide receivers that you have on the bench?
Kyle Pitts might be the one exception.
Okay.
But the other, because Kyle Pitts can still go get 20.
Yeah.
He's done it a couple times this season. The other 2 guys, absolutely. Goddard, I think he just had his run.
Yeah, like 2 games.
No A.J. Brown, no Devontae Smith. And he had a great run.
Yep.
But he got injured. He came back last week. I think he had a touchdown against us, but he only had a couple targets.
I'm just trying to think of tight ends that guys have that are 8-2, 7-3.
I'd start him over Sam Laporta. I'd start him over Dalton Kincaid.
See, and that's crazy. I would Kincaid. I'm not a Kincaid guy.
So I love Kincaid, but he's just not doing it.
I'm just trying to figure out if someone is sitting there and they're in this exact scenario where they have 8-2 and their tight end isn't great and they want to go get Tucker Kraft, what are you willing to give up?
Yeah, this happened about a month ago, maybe a little longer because it was before he got hurt. I traded Tajay Spears for Tucker Kraft straight up, and I got Tucker Kraft.
Nice.
So that was a great trade for me.
Yep.
You can Austin Eckler, who has been awesome.
Yep.
But he's been awesome when Brian Robinson's out.
Yep.
He's still been solid when
B-Rob's
Brian
supposed
Robinson.
to be back this week.
He is. So you get trade a guy like Austin Eckler.
Okay.
You can take a chance on it like Jonathan Brooks. He's coming back, and some people are high on him.
Yeah.
I love Jonathan Brooks next year. You could try to trade Jonathan
But you're not
Brooks.
using really big names to go get Tucker Kraft. So he's not like a hurry up and go get him.
No. These are I do want to point out I am aiming for guys who are middle of the road. I did want to clarify, and I totally forgot to. You're starting your studs.
Okay.
Like you are not. I know there's guys who have to, like Joe Burrow has a tough schedule.
Sure.
And we'll get to that later. But I don't think you're not benching him one, and it's hard to trade guys like that. Same thing with Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has a kind of tough fantasy playoff schedule. You're not benching him. You're not trading him away unless you get two players who are really solid, and Tucker Kraft wouldn't be one of them.
Yep. Okay.
Tucker Kraft is a guy, if you have, like for me, a Cole Kmet, a Hunter Henry, I would go give up my RB 3 or 4 or wide receiver 3 or 4, depending on whatever it is on the bench I have, and go trade them.
Like, would you trade Marvin Harrison for Tucker Kraft?
No, that's a little too much for my blood.
Would you trade Khalil Shakir for Tucker Kraft?
If I have 2 or 3 solid receivers ahead of him, then yes.
Okay. Trying to think of other receivers in that area.
I would receiver wise, I would trade Michael Pittman.
Yeah, well, yeah. At this point, yes.
Maybe a Josh Downs too. At this point,
would you trade? Trying to think running back now for Tucker Kraft. Would you trade? I don't know. I don't know if anyone would trade their running back for a tight end.
I mean, not a great one.
Yeah.
Again, and some guys just want depth at running back.
Sure.
So when I traded Tyjae Spears, he just wanted depth.
Yep.
He wasn't going to start him. He didn't plan to.
Right.
But just to have him over Tucker, I think he already had Mark Andrews, if I'm not mistaken. And this was about a month or so ago.
Sure.
Maybe it wasn't Mark Andrews. Maybe it was Sam. I don't remember who he had. But you just got to – it all depends on your roster. Depends on the other person's roster. But if someone's not starting Tucker Kraft, I would go get Tucker Kraft and just either have him sit on your bench if you have one of the top 5 tight ends, or if you have a guy that you're rotating in and playing matchups, go get Tucker Kraft.
My players to acquire wide receiver and tight end: Cooper Kupp, wide receiver, and Trey McBride, tight end. I think Cooper Kupp, he just gets targets, and fantasy's all about opportunity. They are an indoor team. I don't remember how many games they're playing at home versus away. Let me look that up really quick. But he had 14 targets 2 weeks ago, 7 targets last week. He caught all 7, dude. 7 for 7, 80 yards. Efficient.
He had a good fantasy week. Decent. Yeah. Does it worry you that they didn't look the greatest, though, on Monday night?
No, I think he's still going to get all the throws his way.
Even with Puka there?
Yeah, I mean, him and Puka, right? It's going to be, they're each going to get 8 to 12 targets every game.
It seems like every pass went to either Puka or Cooper.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp was quiet until like the second half, into the end. I do think they need to get Cooper Kupp more involved.
He had 11 for 104 on November 3rd, 7 for 80 last week. I don't think he regresses at all. And if you know that you're going to get this every week from a guy, I think you'll get him at this point.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit here.
Yep. Because you hate me. Not for the benefit of the pod, just because you hate me.
No, I'm just, because while I do love Cooper Kupp, at San Francisco.
Yeah. Trash. Just kidding.
I'm telling Ray you said it.
I know.
At New York Jets.
Yep.
And then at home against Arizona. But the first time they played Arizona, which was week 2, so a lot has changed since then. He only had 7.7 points.
Yeah, 4 catches for 37 yards.
So you're kind of going based off the volume, the opportunity. And of course, Cooper Kupp is always going to have that. He's still a solid wide receiver, too, in my opinion.
Yep.
So is that where you're kind of aiming for, like a wide receiver, too?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I think one of my guys to trade away, I know we're not quite there yet, is CeeDee Lamb, and you brought up CeeDee earlier. Mm-hmm. I would trade CeeDee for Cooper Kupp like that right now.
Yeah, I would too.
And I'm curious if people can get that for CeeDee.
I think that's going to be hard to trade away CeeDee now. But
yeah,
we'll get it, because I'm going to play devil's advocate on that one.
Yeah,
too.
We'll get there. Trey McBride has a great schedule coming up. He is on bye this week. So you mentioned before the show started, like, oh, you could use that almost to your advantage. Like, look, I'm trading you for a player that's on bye. Mm-hmm. You need a win this week. I'm giving you a guy who's playing this week. Mm-hmm. Let's make a deal, right? Yeah. So you can use that to your advantage.
If a team's like 4-6 and has Trey McBride and you need a tight end, and let's say you just have 4 solid receivers and 4 solid running backs, give up one of those receivers or running backs and go get Trey McBride. And then let's just hype it. And then if you have Tucker Kraft, and I know Tucker Kraft is a guy I just said go get, but Trey McBride is one of those elite. And I saw Trey McBride had a great schedule. I try to stay. So one of my rules is I try to stay away from the studs, like the elite players. I wanted to target, those every week players you're questioning, do I start or like, do I start him or him?
Sure.
So Trey McBride is an automatic start at tight end. Yep. But if a team's 4-6 and you're 7-3, if you have depth, go get them. Even if it weakens your team, or weakens your depth. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. Weakens your depth.
Yep.
But you strengthen your starting unit. That's what it's about. That's what, to me, is the most important thing. Now you have Trey McBride. Your starting lineup just improved.
Yep.
Because you traded away a guy that you're not even using.
You're on the bench.
Maybe Tyrone Tracy. Mm-hmm. Try to offer him, and the other team needs a running back. Try to target Trey McBride against the bad teams. If a guy's 9-1, 8-2, he's probably not going to trade Trey McBride because he's probably set. He's probably got a good team.
Sure. Yep.
You can try, but it's probably not going to.
But like you said, a 4-6 team, a 5-5 team needs a win this week.
They got to win. He's on bye. Mm-hmm. Give him 2 players, depending on the 2 players. Don't give him a superstar, but
Right. My player to acquire running back, Josh Jacobs. We're all over the Packers today.
They have a good schedule.
Yeah. I think Josh Jacobs, player to acquire. They have a lot of games in the Dome, as you mentioned earlier, to end the season. Mm-hmm. He's the true lead back. I mean, they're rushing him so much. It's unbelievable. It's great to see after the year he had with the Raiders. So I just think that the talent is there. His playoff schedule at Seattle versus New Orleans. So that's in Lambeau Field in the frozen tundra, which doesn't really affect running backs. Yeah.
Favors the running game.
Yep. And then at Minnesota to end it in the Dome, championship week.
That's a little tougher one.
Yeah. But I think he's fantasy league winning potentially. It's a tough one to get though. He's a tough one to get. You'd have to trade away some, like maybe a CD and like package a big name or a Tyreek Hill and package these big names.
Those just hurt to say Tyreek and CD and
right. The big name with with someone who's maybe overperformed so far this year to go get Josh Jacobs, right?
That's a tough one. But I would say I have Josh Jacobs in 2 leagues, and he's just been ho-hum, just
consistent,
solid, consistent every week. Yeah, he's that.
How many touchdowns? 15. Has he not gotten a lot of rushing touchdowns this year?
Not a crazy amount. Yeah. He has 3, and That's 2 of them came in 1 game.
That's it.
So
and 1 receiving touchdown I know of.
Yeah, he hasn't been killing it necessarily. Right. Every week though, especially in the last 4 weeks, he's 10 to 25 points.
Yep.
Or actually, I could go even further than that. He's since week 4.
Yep.
His floor has been 11.8. His ceiling has been 25.5.
And the opportunity, right? I keep saying it in fantasy, opportunity is so important. And Josh Jacobs gets a lot of it.
So this is the one I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit.
Okay.
I guess we could have brought this up in the news.
Okay.
Marshawn Lloyd was activated.
Oh, yeah.
He might play this week.
Yeah, he fumbles.
Does that concern you at all?
No, I don't think it does. They might spell Josh a little bit if they're playoff bound.
Yeah.
But I think Josh will still get the majority of the work, and that's all he needs.
So I'm the same way. I think Marshawn Lloyd comes in and spells like not Elijah Mitchell. Oh my God,
Emmanuel Wilson.
Emmanuel Wilson, thank you. Mm-hmm. Wow, I almost said Elijah Mitchell. Emmanuel Wilson, his role now. Yep. I think that's just kind of going to be his role. I would like to see Josh Jacobs get a little more, but I do feel like they're saving him.
Yeah,
I feel like, and you can kind of tell sometimes.
What's their record? Sorry for my ignorance.
Are
they 6-3?
6-3, I think.
Yeah, I think they are too. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not either, but
I'll look it up.
But yeah, no, Josh Jacobs is a personal favorite of mine. I've had Josh Jacobs since the Oakland days. Yeah, I said Oakland. He was there his rookie year.
Yeah, he was.
Don't play with me.
Yeah, he was. Don't play with me, dog.
But Josh Jacobs is a personal favorite. He's a good running back. It just, when I watch, because he runs very well, but you can also tell there's times where they take him out where he's perfectly fine, and they're just conserving him.
They are 6-3, but they're third place in the NFC North. That's crazy.
So hard.
8-1 Lions, 7-2 Vikings, 6-3 Packers.
And they lost to the Vikings and the Lions.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So see, Josh might not be able to be rested. So I think he's a guy that you want to go acquire. It's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
But if you have 4 stud wide receivers, you can only play 3 in most leagues.
Right.
Turn one of them into Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, if you have depth, go get him.
Yep.
Or if you want to get crazy and package a running back, like let's say you have 2 solid running backs, package one of those running backs and a receiver and go get them.
Yep.
Again, you're just trying to make what I kind of hate with most fantasy players and trades is guys are scared that they're either A, going to be wrong and trade away a good player, or B, strengthen the other team. I'm one, I never care. I know. I wasn't going to mention you. I was going to let it go. You're always scared to make a trade because you don't want the other guy to get bet to, like, you traded him away. Now you look stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that because I'm usually making a trade for the long haul. And I'm a believer too. You gotta give something away to get something. You're not gonna get Josh Jacobs for Jonathan Brooks.
Right.
You're not gonna get Josh Jacobs for Rico Dowdle.
Right.
You gotta give up something.
Mm-hmm.
So if it strengthens your team, do it. Don't be afraid. We're getting to the stretch run here. Depth almost doesn't matter anymore because we got a few buys. Buys are crazy next week. There's like 6 teams on buy, but I wouldn't even worry especially if you're 8-2, 7-3, 9-1 team. Just make the trade, make your team better for the playoffs. That's what matters here.
Who's your running back to acquire?
Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah,
Chuba is. I'm so mad because in one league, I had him and I cut him because remember
I got him in Dynasty.
Remember I stood on the throne and I said
Jonathan Brooks is going to be the guy.
No. I next year Jonathan Brooks is going to be the guy. Well, they're going to be split now. Go ahead, play it.
I forget which one.
Which one is it?
I forget which one.
Which one do you want to do?
I don't know.
Not that one, because the joke's on you. That one?
Sure, yeah.
No, you didn't like that one either.
No, I don't know what one I wanted.
We got to put like labels on
I think I wanted.
That one? Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, remember when Bryce Young,
fun.
after week 2, I said I want 0 Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, we both kind of did, though.
We all agreed to that.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Brooks has been amazing.
I'm
sorry. See, now you got Jonathan Brooks in my head.
Yes.
Chuba Hubbard's been amazing. He's actually been a top 10 running back. His schedule,
you know where it started?
Where? With Andy Dalton getting in.
The Raiders, yep. Against the Raiders. He went nuts.
Yep. And I
worked that game.
So Chuba Hubbard.
I watched him do it in real life.
Listen to this playoff schedule. It's so beautiful.
Okay.
You open up, if you don't have a bye, with Dallas. My Dallas Cowboys.
They can't stop a nosebleed.
5th most fantasy points to running backs. I'm surprised it's not 1.
They're blinded by the sun.
Arizona the next week. Oh God, don't get me started on that. Arizona. 8th most fantasy points to running backs.
Yep.
And then at Tampa Bay, 6th most fantasy points to running backs.
Okay.
So you get 2 home games, Dallas and Arizona.
Yep.
Arizona coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. That should be nice.
Yep.
And then you get to go to Tampa Bay, which in December, actually that might be a January game, early January, whatever.
In Tampa Bay.
Bay.
Still fine.
It's beautiful still.
Yep.
60 degrees still.
Yep.
So the schedule lines up beautiful for them. Tampa Bay, now Vita Veo's missing. That number might be a little skewed. The other two, and Arizona's been getting better.
Sure.
But it's still a solid fantasy playoff schedule for a running back.
Who do you have to trade to get Chuba?
Chuba's, oh man. You know what? You might not even be able to get him straight up, but I'd be curious to ask Chuba Hubbard owners, CeeDee Lamb. Or, you mentioned him, Tyreek Hill.
Yep. Or George Pickens.
I would trade either one of those straight up for Chuba Hubbard.
Yep.
I don't know if I do. If you have depth at receiver and you need a running back, then yes, I would do Pickens for Chuba. And that's the thing. It's all about scenarios with your team and situations.
Yep. It's tough because Chuba, you mentioned a lot of good things about him. His name still isn't like a sexy name, right?
Chuba's been awesome, though.
Yeah, he has. He's been great. So using names like CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill
is insane.
Is sexy names going after a non-sexy name, and I think that would allow the trade to be made.
He has 4 20-point games on the season. His last 2 have been 20-plus.
Stud.
He's just been a consistent, solid running back. He has the Chiefs this week, so that's probably going to be a tough matchup. He's probably going to struggle a little bit.
The Chiefs' defense is good.
And you assume the Panthers will be down. So that will be a tough one. But everyone else, and then he plays Tampa Bay, which we already discussed. He plays them twice in the next 6 weeks. And then he plays at Philly.
He's on a bye this week.
He is on bye this week.
Yep.
Correct. So he comes back next week. I'm sorry, they play the Chiefs next week. Sorry.
Good.
So he has 2 tough matchups, but luckily they're before the fantasy playoffs.
That was the players to acquire for both of us. Now we each have a couple guys, few guys, couple dudes, couple fellas.
Well, real quick, because you don't believe in trading for
away.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I have one.
Okay.
Now, again, you're starting your studs.
Okay.
Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jayden Daniels.
Joe
You're starting your studs. If you're a team that has, let's say, a Jared Goff, you had Dak Prescott, try to go get Bo Nix. Bo Nix has a great fantasy schedule. There's one. Well,
my bad. The last trade for my bad.
Yeah. One more. He has a great schedule the rest of the way. The one tough one is the Clippers. I almost said the Clippers.
Yep, I heard you.
Because it says at LAC.
Heard you.
The Chargers.
Honest mistake. Honest guy's mistake.
We're basketball fans too. Sorry. So the Chargers in Week 16, which is the semis in fantasy playoffs, they're 21st most points allowed to quarterback. So it is a little tougher. But he had 21 points against them just a few weeks ago, or last month, I guess. So that one tough matchup, he still had 20+. So Bo Nix has a great schedule going forward the rest of the way. The hardest one is outside of that one is Cleveland at 12th most fantasy points given up to quarterbacks. In the playoffs, Indy, at the Chargers, at the Bengals. So it's a solid playoff schedule.
At Chargers is indoors. Yep.
Which is important in this time of year, too.
Yep, for sure.
So, and then the rest of the way, so he's got Atlanta this week, in Denver, at the Raiders, and then Cleveland, and then a bye. So he has some pretty favorable matchups.
It's so wild that teams have buys as late as week 14.
I don't like it.
It's so crazy.
They need to move him up a little bit.
You want to hear something hilarious?
Let's hear it real quick.
I was able to pick up Bo Nix off the waiver wire in a league that I have Lamar Jackson as my starting quarterback.
Say that again? What?
I was able to acquire Bo Nix off of the waiver wire.
Okay.
In a league that I also have Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And I go and look at their bye weeks.
They're the same.
They're both bye weeks 14. I'm like, well, what the heck did I even get Bo Nix for?
I almost did. I have Lamar and Baker in one league. So I'm like,
do you have 14 as well? Both?
No, Baker's this week.
Okay.
But I was scared at first. I have one league with this week. And actually, I made a trade. I have Kyler and Baker.
Okay.
Both on bye this week.
Tough.
I actually traded Kyler Murray away.
For?
Devontae Smith.
Okay.
My receivers are pretty. I had Rashee Rice in that.
You can ride with Baker the rest of the way. It's fine.
Yeah, my receivers in that. I have Nico and, oh my God, who's my wide receiver 2? I'm blanking on who my wide receiver 2 is in that league. That's the one I care about the least. So.
Okay.
Anywho, sorry, players to trade away
No,
now.
that's all right. It's kind of funny because should I try to trade Bo Nix then?
If you can get something out of him, absolutely. If you need a receiver or running back or tight end,
I always need those.
then absolutely.
Huh.
They have the same buy.
Or do I trade him for another quarterback that I can play for when Lamar's out in week 14? Do I trade him for 1 week? No.
Is this in Yahoo?
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine. You don't need it. I mean, you can. There's so many quarterbacks in that league.
You
see. You can start.
I'll see. I'm gonna see if Ryan. We're name dropping. I'm gonna see if Ryan wants Bo Nix in that league.
You're gonna make the playoffs in that league. You're fine.
Ryan, here's Bo Nix. What do you want from him?
I want him.
He's a Bronco guy.
I know.
He has Bo Nix in the other league.
You could pick up anybody though. You'll be fine. You're gonna make the playoffs regardless.
Hey, thanks. CeeDee Lamb is my wide receiver to trade away. Blinded by the light. Can't believe it.
Look,
it pisses me off. It really pisses me off. Jerry Jones needs to understand.
Pisses you off. I'm a Cowboys fan.
It is a liability.
I'm a Cowboys fan.
That is a lie. Dude, you cannot see the football.
So
figure it out, Jerry. Put a curtain. He said, what are we talking about? I don't care, Jerry. 1 p.m. start, curtain that.
Luckily,
5 p.m. start, curtain that.
I don't know why, but luckily I understand senile. And so what he was trying to say, you like that one, huh?
Yeah.
What he was trying to make it seem like he did that on purpose, so the away team has the disadvantage.
That's what he said. I know.
So he tried to, but yeah, hey, dum. Sometimes you can't control that.
And you
it flips automatically.
Yeah, you flip sides there, bud.
Like we know when the sun's come down. Yeah, no, luckily we can't care. Jerry Jones, I don't know
what is happening this season. I feel bad watching it happen.
I'm not. People are like, are you mad? No, I'm not mad. I'm telling everyone, the straw that broke the camel's back for me was losing to the Packers that way that we did last year.
Yeah.
We should have gotten to the NFC Championship. So the fact that we didn't, that was you know what? I'm done with the Cowboys until they actually do it. I'll still root for them. I'm still a fan. I'm always going to try to root for them and cheer for them. But I'm not having any expectations.
So we're trading away CeeDee Lamb, me.
Yes.
I know you may not be, but at this point, I said I'm almost taking anything you can get. What's the best that we think you can get, and what's the worst you would take for CeeDee Lamb? Sexy name, as we said. Dak likely out rest a year.
Yeah, I think the best you might be able to get is Chuba Hubbard. We talked about that a little bit. You might be able to pull that trade off just depending on the situations of the teams. If the other team has 2 running backs already, because Chuba Hubbard is a guy that was either drafted late or not drafted at all.
Yeah, correct.
So Chuba Hubbard might be a guy on someone's team who already has
Jonathan Taylor and
Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
So if they already have solid running backs, you could try to make a trade for that. They need a receiver. I'm not saying that I would keep CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to play devil's advocate again.
Because you hit me.
A little bit. They have a great schedule, fantasy playoff-wise.
Yep.
They're going to be passing the ball a lot. Now, I know Cooper Rush looked terrible. And if Trey Lance plays, that's even worse. I pray to God we don't play Trey Lance.
Yeah.
But CeeDee Lamb is still your star receiver. I feel like they're going to force him the ball at times. I still think CeeDee Lamb is a playable asset in fantasy football. There's no way you can just bench him unless you just have 3 stud receivers.
Sure.
I don't see how you can bench him. And
I agree.
It's tough because you have to start him. And it's just kind of like Tyreek Hill. You have to start these guys even though they're not having great seasons.
Yep.
Because how do you bench them? Because at any point they could go
these guys are your first-round pick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not first, but like top 5 picks.
Right.
So they're still capable of getting 20 points. So it's hard to spend. But if you can get a solid player for him, then yes, I would trade him.
Yeah, I'm moving CeeDee Lamb for quite a bit of pieces, I think.
You would give up almost anything.
I would.
Or you'll get
I would
anything.
try to take almost anything. I think that I draw the line at guys like let's say you're CeeDee Lamb and you're going after Travis Kelce.
I would take Kelce.
Yes.
Heartbeat.
Brock Bowers.
I would take Brock Bowers.
Okay, now let me kind of bring us down a tier.
Are you just doing tight ends right now? Or?
No.
Okay.
What about, we've been using his name a lot, George Pickens, because I think he's a very interesting case.
I would take Pickens.
How about Cedric Tillman?
Yeah, I might draw the line there. I think
he's good.
He's been great these last 2 weeks. I would still take CD.
Okay.
Because I don't think you're going to get what you've been getting.
I think you could get more than Cedric Tillman for CD still.
Tillman,
I do.
Yeah, you're not going to get everything. You're not going to get that every week with Tillman.
How about Josh Jacobs, Cooper Kupp?
I would take Josh Jacobs and Cooper Kupp. An interesting, you know what? I think I might draw the line, where I have a real.
Yeah, where's the line end? I'm trying to think of a guy like
right
that.
now, and just because of the news we've heard lately, would be possibly Malik Neighbors, or.
You would not take Malik.
I would go back and forth on, because now you have 2 instances where they're both playing with backup quarterbacks.
Yep, I wouldn't take Malik.
Because they're assuming Drew Lock is going to start the rest of the year. Daniel Jones is going to be benched.
Yep.
Now you have hopes that it's okay, Drew Lock, maybe he gets the ball to Malik Neighbors, but it's almost the same situation as CeeDee Lamb with the backup quarterback.
Yep.
So I think we'd all agree right now CeeDee Lamb is a better receiver.
Yep.
Love Malik Neighbors, but I would probably take CeeDee Lamb and then a Brian Thomas Jr. With Mac Jones.
Tough.
Same situation.
Tough.
I'd probably take CeeDee.
I would hold CeeDee there too.
So I think that's where you're kind
How about Drake London?
I would take Drake.
Okay.
And you know how I feel about Drake.
Yeah.
Everyone should know how I feel about Drake.
How bad is Olave hurt? Bad?
Yeah, I just because of the mystery behind it.
Yep.
Like they say he could return the season or he should, but at that point, what's the point of even bringing him back?
How about one of the guys you said to go get? Jayden Reed. Would you take Jayden Reed for CeeDee?
I would. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Curious any running backs for CeeDee?
Yeah, I think Chuba's the
top
ceiling
one
you're getting. Like that's the max potential you're getting out of CeeDee.
Interesting.
So I actually
that's tough because he's such a good name and he's such a great football player, but he's playing with a backup quarterback on an offense that has not looked good this year.
I'm in a league where I want to offer Devontae Smith for CeeDee Lamb and see if he takes. But he's a Cowboys fan, so
he might take it. But
he might, but because he's the Cowboys fan,
I'm not sure I would as a CeeDee owner. I'm not sure I'd want Devontae, but
I might take Devontae. It depends. Yeah. It just depends how my team's looking, and it depends what offers I'm getting. That's why you got to shop. You got to get out there and almost ask every team.
Debo for CeeDee?
I would take Debo.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. My receiver.
Yep.
To trade away.
Yep.
And kind of going on the similar path. Brian Thomas Jr. And Mac Jones looked awful.
Yep.
Brian Thomas Jr. ended up having 3 catches. If I'm not mistaken.
He's had 2 really bad weeks in a row. He also is kind of dealing with a lingering injury.
Yeah, so he, I believe it's an ankle.
Yeah.
I believe. Don't quote me on that. I just acquired Brian Thomas Jr. a few weeks ago for Tank Dell. I should have kept Tank.
Which was, honestly, at the time, a pretty decent move.
At the time, it was great because, Brian Thomas had just got hurt.
I still think Brian Thomas is going to be good. But I agree, Mac Jones sucks.
It's his chest.
Mac Jones is not good for fantasy purposes.
Mac Jones just looked terrible.
I don't know how much longer T-Law is supposed to be out.
So I'm pulling up the number. He had 2 catches for 12 yards.
Yeah, tough.
And on 3 targets. So he wasn't even really targeted.
Which
drives me crazy.
Insane.
They play Detroit this week, and then they're on bye.
Actually, man, 6, 5, 4, 4, 3. The target numbers for the last 5 games. That's not good.
Yeah, it's gone down.
Yeah, that's not good.
He exploded onto the scene early, and now he's kind of vanished a little bit.
Huh.
But listen to this playoff schedule. Well, let's just the last 4 games, because the week before the fantasy playoffs, at Tennessee, you're assuming L'Jarius Sneed will be back then.
Yeah.
New York Jets, Sauce Gardner, hello.
Meh.
Jeez.
Just kidding.
At the Raiders. And the Raiders have been solid in pass defense. They've given up the 4th least points to receivers.
Okay.
And then, you get to see L'Jarius Sneed again for the championship. I am trying so bad to trade Brian Thomas Jr. We have now in our league, we have a couple more weeks till the trade deadline.
Yep.
So I'm still kind of waiting.
You have him in CBS?
I do have him CBS now.
Okay.
I'm hoping he goes off this week.
Yeah.
I need him to. So I can be like, hey, Brian Thomas.
Look at Brian Thomas.
Look at what he did.
Yep.
I would actually trade Brian.
Chances of him going off this week are?
He has a decent matchup with Detroit.
Yeah.
They play a lot of man coverage. So, if he can get one deep.
It's still Mac Jones.
I know.
Yeah.
Let me be positive for a second. If he can still get one deep ball, that's the ideal. Sure. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Sure.
So, that's my guy to trade away, though.
Running back to trade away for moi. And you had him, too. And then I made you change.
Yep, because we can't do the same.
Yeah, I didn't make you change. You volunteered to change.
I said I'm changing.
DeAndre Swift. I think he's been the only bright spot in the Chicago offense. They did just fire the OC.
So there's hope.
Did they fire the QB coach, too? Did I hear that?
No, they promoted
the
passing game coordinator to the OC, which he came from Carolina, which I don't know how much better that's going to be.
We'll see. So they fired the OC. We'll see if there's a little spark that happens, but I'm not sure I see the offense getting much better. I think Swift – I just think that the whole team's just going to kind of fade the rest of the season, right off into the offseason, just kind of – it was what it was this year. Caleb got a full season under his belt.
They're going to have to reevaluate and figure out what the next step is.
Yeah. I'm curious if Eberflus sticks around.
He's got to be gone.
Is he a first-year head coach with them?
No, he's been around for
how many seasons?
2 or 3. This is like a 2nd or 3rd season.
See, so but this goes back to the whole starting the young quarterback. Do you really fire a head coach after a rookie quarterback season?
In this situation, I don't blame the quarterback. I get rid of the coach.
That's so crazy. See, it happens so much.
Kind of did the same with Justin Fields.
Yeah, it happens so much right now. It's just crazy how quick the trigger is pulled.
So the reason we're benching or trading DeAndre Swift,
and the reason
his schedule is tough.
Yeah. Speak on it.
Green Bay, Minnesota, at Detroit, at San Francisco, at Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle. He's got Detroit and Minnesota twice.
Yeah.
San Francisco's another good run defense. Green Bay's no slouches. Seattle's his best matchup, and that's the fantasy championship. But they're 11th most points to the fantasy running backs. It's a tough schedule. And
man.
The crazy thing is he had 4 straight 20-point games, and now this is where we start to see him
the trend down
descend.
That'd be insane if we say trade him away and he just continues on this tear.
Then we don't know what we're doing. No, there's no way. I think last week he only had 7.
The Detroit Lions are really fun to watch.
Yeah, last week he only had 7.5 against New England, who's not a good defense.
I mean, they were supposed to be coming into the year.
They were supposed to be, but they're not a good defense. But Bill Belichick called them out, and they've been playing better.
Yep. Good old Belichick. I like Belichick not on the sideline. I like him on like McAfee and stuff. I like watching him.
He's actually got personality.
Yeah.
He's actually solid.
I wouldn't even say personality. I just think his mind. He actually shares stuff, and I'm like,
he's a genius.
Okay, good.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
People just don't want to give him credit.
Right.
My trade away running back is Najee. I felt like it was easy because I feel like if you did a poll of most hated fantasy players, Najee Harris is like top 3.
Real mature fart noise
like
is coming from you.
Nobody likes Najee Harris.
Yeah.
Because he's hurt your fantasy team one way or another.
He's
in like the last 4 years.
He's the Eddie Lacy of our generation.
Yeah. Well, at least Eddie Lacy. No, because Eddie Lacy wasn't this bad consistently. Like
I took Eddie Lacy number 2 overall one year, and it was the first year that he sucked.
The hype on Najee and just what he's been able to produce is why people hate him. Yep. The hype on him was like first rounder, and he's not been producing like that. So
last year he wasn't great either.
He does not have an even average matchup the rest of the way. All his matchups, all the fantasy run defenses give up. I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. Are in the top 10 of least amount of giving up points to fantasy running backs. So he's got Washington. Oh no, I'm sorry, they just played Washington. Baltimore, at Cleveland, at Cincinnati, Cleveland, at Philly, at Baltimore, Kansas City. So they have 6 divisional matchups still. And then we're not even counting week 18.
Yeah.
So and then Kansas City's not an easy one. And then Philadelphia's not easy. Those are the 2 outside of the division games that they have left. And they're tough. So Najee Harris, if you can trade anything for him, I'm like, honestly, anything. I'd give him Tyrone Tracy for.
Kind of like CeeDee for me, where you can get almost anything.
I'd rather have CeeDee than Najee. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Najee, I'm not a fan of. I talked about it in the beginning of the show.
He's actually been solid this season. And he was solid at the end of last season.
He was. He had a decent run at the end of last year. I just think
everyone just expects more from him.
I'm just not sure what you can get for him.
You're not going to get a lot. I don't think. But this is the time to trade him. Because
I would maybe take Tyrone Tracy.
He has a brutal stretch. I would take Tyrone Tracy too.
Over him. I would probably take – I'm trying to think of another running back who's coming on as of late.
Would you rather take a chance with Jonathan Brooks or keep Najee? You'd rather keep Najee.
Yeah. Audric Estime is a very interesting name in Denver.
There's no way you take Estime over Najee, though.
I think he's an interesting name.
I think if
the trade was presented to me, I'd have a hard time hitting decline right away. But I don't think I'd ever hit accept.
That's low.
But I think Audric is going to be good rest of the year. But I'm trying to think who's another like Tyrone Tracy.
I would take Eckler.
Tyrone Tracy.
I would take Eckler.
No,
over Najee.
I wouldn't.
Eckler's been solid.
Not with B-Rob back.
I love Eckler.
Who else? Why am I drawing a blank?
Even with B-Rob, Eckler's been
Tank
solid.
Bigsby. I think he got hurt though.
He did get hurt.
So
if he comes back and he didn't practice today. If he comes back, then maybe Travis Etienne. Would you take Etienne over Najee? Etienne's been terrible.
Yeah, no. Najee still gets to work, which is crazy. He still gets the opportunity.
Yeah. I got one more. He's your boy. He's Bucky.
I know, man. I'm starting to fade on Bucky a little bit.
Well, they started working more with Sean Tucker.
Rashad, and Rashad has been better. So I'm fading on Bucky. It probably would keep Najee at this point.
Wow. I think I would take Bucky.
Yeah, and I was trying to trade for Bucky a lot this year.
I think I would still take Bucky.
Do you know what, this year, since this is a trade show, this year I think I shot out my most trade offers I've ever done.
You know,
because I don't trade that often, right? You know that.
You're right.
And so I think I put out the most trade offers I've ever done, and so many just got declined, not even countered, not even like a message. Like,
you offer me
I
something
send
terrible.
Offers.
Go F yourself.
Right? Like I send offers as like, hey, I'm interested in this guy.
Right.
And I'm willing to give up this guy.
Right.
I thought that the other person would be like, oh, okay.
See, that's why I think I'm great at trades, because if you send me something, I'm at least going to text you like, hey, I see you're interested in him, but let's talk about it, because what you sent me ain't going to happen.
Right.
At least I talk about it and try to find a middle ground.
And, of course, you try to win every trade, right? So, like, of course, I'm trying to think. I tried to get Jonathan Taylor, and I think I put Marvin Harrison Jr. and Nick Chubb maybe a few weeks back, right? When Chubb just came back and Marvin maybe had a good game or whatever.
Yeah.
And I expected a no.
Right. But that was just the starting point.
But, like, I would want –
you always start with your least.
Right.
I think, honestly, I skipped that point. I'm not even offering bench guys anymore. Like, it depends how my team is, but like unless I have depth, I'm only offering guys that I feel like will start on your team. Like, I hate how like there's certain guys, and I won't name drop anymore, but they'll have a great game.
Yep.
And they're a bench guy, and they've had 5 terrible games.
Yep.
Oh, he's getting hot. I'm gonna trade him. Like, no, I don't want Alec Pierce.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because
we all know
because Ryan told me something.
We all have that guy.
He said, I hate the trending. Like, oh, he's trending in the right direction.
We all have that guy, and there's multiple people that do it. It's not just him.
Yeah, it's not true.
It's a lot of people that do it.
It's a strategy.
And I hate it. I don't even try that anymore. I'm only offering you solid guys who can start.
Yeah. So, if you're going after one of their starters.
If you're going to make a trade, do not be afraid to pull the trigger. If it makes your team better, pull that trigger. Don't be afraid. Look, you got to give up something to get something. Look at, I'm looking into the camera. Make that trade. Win your championship.
Whoa. Okay.
Stand on that throne.
I'm out of players to talk about. I'm out of players to give away. I'm out of players to try to acquire. I think you have one player left, maybe.
I have one player. You're not going to get much for him, but I would look for a different quarterback than Jared Goff.
So I mentioned it before the show. I think if you're trying to trade away or trying to acquire a quarterback at this point in the season, don't talk to me.
See,
don't talk to me.
I just think you're crazy.
I don't want to hear it.
If I have I had Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and I moved early on it.
If you still had him right now, you would trade one of them.
Sure, but I moved early on it because I'm like, why am I holding 2 elite quarterbacks 11 weeks in the season?
I don't even know how you got those 2.
How
did we allow that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I draft.
The team that I drafted in that league, there was a couple times where I'm like, yo, how did this happen?
Yeah, what?
Jamar Chase and Saquon.
I gotta look at that draft
at the end of one on the turn.
That league is crazy.
Chase was holding out.
People are just crazy.
It's wild. Chase. And then Lamar, I took Lamar. I don't take quarterbacks that early, but I didn't like the board, and I was like, okay, Lamar's that dude. He's always that dude for fantasy.
But
and then I think I got Burrow in the 13th round.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, bro.
No, you
everyone
didn't.
else drafted everyone else drafted quarterbacks.
I feel like
Logan was there without a quarterback, I believe, and he didn't take Burrow, and I was shocked.
Okay, you still got him later than you should, but it's a 10-man league.
When did I get him?
9th.
Okay, all right.
So you got him a little earlier, but
13th, 9th, same thing.
But it's a 10-man league.
Yep.
So, and we have like 18 roster spots in that league, and I guess that 9th round pick was better than my 9th round pick at this time now.
Who's your 9th round pick?
You don't remember this joke?
The kicker? Aubrey?
Brandon Aubrey.
Weapon.
It was a weapon, and now he's not so much of a weapon. He's not a weapon anymore. He was a weapon, but not so much. But yeah, so
get rid of Jared Goff if you can.
I would rather start Bo Nix over Jared Goff for the playoffs. I'm just saying, evaluate your team's matchups. Look at there's websites you can use. Yahoo, if you have Yahoo has a great platform of showing you what the schedule is the rest of the way. is something I wish CBS had that they don't.
I do like Yahoo's fantasy. I always have.
It's okay, but whatever. We're not gonna. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But make that trade, and also let's do this. Leave a comment in the video and say this guy or this guy. Should I trade so and so? And we'll get you back. We'll get a reply back to you.
Please comment.
I have time.
Please comment.
So let's do it. And put a like there too. Share it.
Share, subscribe, like. You have time.
I have time right now.
Gabe has time. That is it for the trade deadline special. Episode 13, 14, 12, 11, 13, 14.
It's got to be around there somewhere.
Watch the Throne Fantasy Football Show until, I don't know, we may have a couple weeks off due to scheduling conflicts.
Someone's going out of town.
I got to talk to the guys and see if they can pull it off, sans me. We'll see.
I'm about to just come in here and do it myself.
I think you guys could.
No. You're our host.
Until next time.
There's no show without you.
Thanks.
Till next time.
Peace.